Continuing on with the versus battles, we have straight swords versus curved swords. Now, the reason we are comparing these two is because their range, speed, and damage is very similar, so we are going to have a bunch of categories we are going to use to figure out which is better for which scenario. As always, use the timestamps if need be, and please do like and subscribe as well as follow me on Twitch. Anyway, let's get into it. Starting off with the variety. Now, what I mean by this is how much synergy it has with certain stats and builds. So with that being said, I'll put both of these into the S tier because they're both that good. Now, starting off with the straight swords, the lordsworn straight sword and the noble slender sword are both good with dexterity. Both have 110 crit ratio as well. The broadsword is very good for strength. These three have very good and differing movesets as well. The Scarlet Rod option, a very good sleep build option, a very good option for high damage. Also have your only option for a pure faith build, as well as your only option for a faith and intelligence build. I guess the only thing that is really missing is something for bleed and something with a very good intelligence scaling, because a lot of these ones here, they only get a D scaling in intelligence, but those are definitely the only two that is missing. As for curved swords, they're right there. So you have the scimitar, shamshir, and the flowing curved sword that all have very good dexterity scalings and good movesets as well. The Grossmesser is a good quality option. Bandits curved sword and the Beastman's curved sword are both good for strength-based builds. Beastman's also has a unique heavy jumping attack as well. The Scavenger's curved sword is a very premium option for bleed-based builds. Also have some options in terms of actually hitting around shields and the shuttles, albeit they're not that great. Wing of Astel is a very top-tier intelligence-based weapon, and the Magma Blades is okay for as a faith-based weapon itself. All in all, I'll probably actually end up giving this one to the straight swords, though I just feel like they just cover more of their bases in terms of variety. So going over the movesets, both of these are definitely going to be an S tier. Starting off with the one-handed and two-handed attacks, the straight swords have a wide variation with horizontal attacks, verticals, and pokes, whereas curved swords, they only have a bunch of different swiping attacks. However, they are a lot quicker, especially with weapons like the scimitar and the shamshir. They also have unique charge attacks and a cool little somersault attack, and they also can be cancelled into like this backflip feint, which is very cool as well. As for the power stance combo, the straight swords have probably the better light attack combo due to its range and speed, but the running and jumping attacks of the curved swords are probably the best in the entire game. So for this one, it's pretty even. I'm just going to have to give a point to each one. Which has the better Ashes of War options? Now, both are really good. However, I'll probably end up leaning to the straight swords. I'll probably give that one an S tier compared to the curved sword, which would probably just be an A tier. So looking at options that the curved sword has, that the straight sword does not, Wild Strikes and Swords Dance. Both are very good options. However, I like those more on larger based options. Now, in terms of things that the straight sword has that the curved sword does not, Impaling Thrust, Seppuku, and Square Off, all of which are very top tier options, especially on smaller base weapons. And Square Off especially is one of them because that one is very unique to straight swords themselves, and it's good in both PvE and PvP. However, curved swords don't have their own specific Ash of War for themselves, so yeah, this one's definitely going to have to go to the straight swords. Now, which is the best weapon class for PvE? Now, on screen, this is my top 10, including both straight swords and curved swords for PvE. Obviously, the yellow signifying the curved swords and the blue signifying the straight swords. If you want to know my opinions on all of the options, I did just make tier lists within the last week, so check those videos out. But as you can see from this top 10, I definitely value the curved swords just a little bit more. The Wing of Astel is a very solid option, and then the Bandits, curved sword, and Scavengers are very dominant in PvE. In my opinion, so I'll probably just end up leaning more towards that way, although they're both very close and both very solid S tier options as we went over in the variety section. As for PvP, it is going to be a little different because I do value moveset more than I value damage. So with that being said, here is my top 10 list. Don't focus too much on the ranking of it. I just made it in like a couple of minutes, but it is still relatively correct. If you want to know more of my opinions, I do have my own separate tier lists. But as you can see from this list, I do value straight swords a little bit more because I just like the moveset better for PvP because it has nice variation with the poking attacks, as well as its light attack power stance combo is very, very powerful, especially with things like the Noble Slender Sword, even the Sword of Saint Trina in terms of proccing sleep as well. So yeah, definitely prefer straight swords in PvP. So that concludes my list, and yeah, straight swords tend to be better, but once again, it's just my opinion. Very opinionated based with these types of videos. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know down below what type of ones I should compare next. Please like, subscribe, follow my Twitch channel because this is where I actually do my tier list and actually make these top 10s themselves. But yeah, see you in the next one, guys. Bye.